right here. Oh.
And yes, it's Friday and we are live once again. Good morning, everyone. Alejandro Tornato here, coming directly from Beaufort, Georgia. And I have my dear friend, Bob DiGiacomo, coming from somewhere in this universe.
You don't want to be in my world right now.
I tell you, without divulging into a lot of details, let me tell you that this morning has been a real challenge. I mean, to get us both connected because we had some, let's call them technical difficulties. And it is great that we have been able to have a dose of patience to
Yes.
to really go through these difficulties. You know, it doesn't matter what the difficulty is, as long as you have the patience to walk it through and to see it. And there are things, as I said it many times. There are things that are within our control, and those are good because we can actually do something, I mean, to control them. However, most of the things are outside of our control, and it doesn't matter how much we try, how much we desire for them to work, how much, I mean, but they are outside of our control, and we cannot do anything about it. I mean, just hope and pray that things will get better. And right now, they're holding good. So I'm very happy. So how are you doing this morning, Bob?
Well, years ago, I must have been a strong D and a C because I was always in conflict with myself because I did not have patience back in those days. But today, in these latest years of my life, I've acquired a lot more patience. And at least most of the time, I have a lot more patience. Sometimes I don't have any patience with me. And I know hopefully we're going to get through this broadcast without any technical difficulties. Sometimes, and we haven't even discussed today's topic yet, but we're getting to that. Sometimes the technical difficulty is literally right in front of you when you're looking everywhere else to find out where the technical difficulty lies. And so finally, I've been able to isolate the technical difficulty is in the abode where I am aboding. Now, interesting story. One needs to pay attention to the data plan that one is on with the devices, because we're only in the 12th day of the month, and I've already burned through my data for this month, and I've never burned through my data in any month. I've always had a overlap where they would forward me what I didn't use the previous month. Well, I burned through that too, because what's happening here is, and you know that we've had challenges with the connection. In fact, I was in a different location this morning, and I had to move to a different location within the abode, and hopefully the signal will stay strong, because when the Wi-Fi fluctuates, the device, I tell you, they're smart with these devices, because when the Wi-Fi fluctuates, the device automatically reverts back into live, we're going to suck up your data mode. And that is what's happened, is because the Wi-Fi has been fluctuating here so much that my device has been going to data. And so I've had to increase my data this morning so I can get through the rest of the month, because again, the news report states that next month, the beginning of, and for those of you that are watching this as a replay, it may be several months when you're watching this, but the beginning of July 2020, the airplanes are supposed to fly again. And I will be able to get to my new location where hopefully 1,000 megabits per second will ensure that I don't have any challenges. But I'm sure that some people have been through challenges where, what did we do before the internet? I was almost ready to go back to my old fallback, which was a hammer, a chisel, and a piece of stone. Okay.
Yes, yes,
And this
I tell you.
plays in so, but this plays so. No, I wanted to further add, this plays in so well to our topic today. Even though we're going to be talking about an eco of a different word, I'm going to throw out the word eco-friendly. That's why I put that at the bottom of my screen. Eco-friendly Bob, because what did we do before the internet?
You know, I always say that I am so grateful and happy for the progress of technology. I think that technology is something that has been a tremendous vehicle for us to be able to communicate. I mean, the technology in the phones, the technology in the computers, the technology in the communications, in the speed, and so forth. But with the progress of technology, then is the also the accompaniment of difficulties. I mean, with technology, I wish that we could have free difficulty technology, but that is, at this stage of the game, that is not possible. I didn't say impossible, but I said not possible. Perhaps give it some time, and then someone is going to discover a free difficulty technology where you can actually log into your computer, have connectivity. I mean, no problems. No, I mean, everything is just going to work as it's supposed to work. But we are not at that stage yet. And going back to the subject for today.
Yeah, because we're already 7 minutes into this, and we haven't even touched on the topic for today, and yet we've had so many learning leadership lessons in this first 7 minutes.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Um, um, a leader, and if you want to carry on being a great leader, you cannot be sick, or you cannot have any illness. And in order to prevent that, I think that the topic we are covering today, which is the power of ecotherapy. Ecotherapy. And if you never heard the term ecotherapy, I was reading an article a few days ago, and this is extremely powerful, especially right now. For several weeks, perhaps over 2 months, most people have been forced, in a sense, to stay at home and to spend a lot of time indoor in a lockdown type mode, just surrounded by walls and being under the effect of artificial lighting, pretty much, the whole day. A lot of time spent indoors. And what I think that what ecotherapy does is it's a method, that would revitalize us as human beings, because we have not been created to live and to spend a lot of time indoors, in buildings. If we go back many, many, many years ago, people used to spend more time outdoors than indoors. Being in contact with nature, walking, doing activities outside. And guess what? Those people, they were healthier. They have a better mental acuity. They experience less syndromes of illness and disease, because as human beings, I think that we have inherently that natural connection with nature. And but now we are reversing, and we are spending more time inside, and that has been affecting. I read a lot of statistics that has been affecting people mentally, emotionally, and physically. So I think that we need to get back to spending time in our, I guess, natural habitat, which is in nature. Now, what do you think about that, Bob?
Now, I don't want to get too natural in the habitat because I'm not into loincloths, okay? But today I ensured that I was wearing the greenest thing I had, because we're but you don't realize you just created a new acronym, MEP, mentally, emotionally, and physically. So it's important to be MEP.
That's right.
That's so important. I remember back in the day when I was young, and it was like, okay, what time do I have to be in? Well, you have to be in by dinner time. And so being in by dinner time meant that we were outside, um, enjoying what was going on. We'd be hanging out. When I say hanging out, it wasn't a question of standing on the corner. It was a question of being out there playing all sorts of games and activities with the kids that you grew up with. And then when my stepmother came along, and she convinced my father that it was okay for me to be on a bicycle, because he was a little protective of me back in those days. Getting a bicycle was the most wonderful thing that occurred to me, because I spent time on my bicycle riding and exercising and learning how to balance myself first, and then learning how to balance myself without using my hands on the bicycle. And oh, did I think I was cool because I could bicycle down the street without using my hands. And so there was all sorts of development taking place physically,
Yes.
mentally, because
Sure.
the subconscious was directing the bicycle while I was looking around at all sorts of things around me.
That's right.
And still I managed not to fall down too often. and it was a great thing. And interesting, I was down at the lower level of this house trying to get signal, and I could hear through the door, because there's another family living on the other side of the door here. It's a two-family house. And rather than the youngster being outside playing, he was inside playing. And I could hear, he was flying some kind of an airplane around the zzz, but yet he wasn't outside getting the vitamin D that's out there, the sun's rays. And so ecotherapy, quite an interesting thing. And I'm glad you came up with this topic, because it's caused me to remember that, and we're very politically correct here in these broadcasts, because we're not taking sides. But you're right. People have been boxed up for so long. In fact, at one point, we probably would have had masks on doing these communications, because in our mental state, it's like, oh my gosh, I've got to have a mask on, even to do something where there's no. But it's always interesting. But we're very politically correct. But I'm thinking now with ecotherapy that some of the people out there doing some of the things that they've been doing of late over the last couple of weeks might have been avoided had they been outside to start with. And you mentioned the word walls. And I think you may recall the other day we were talking about walls, and walls are physical as well as mental.
Yes.
And we build walls around ourselves with structures, but we also build walls around ourselves. So MEP, mental, what was it? Mental,
Emotional
emotional, and
and
physical.
physical. That's right.
So back to you.
Now, you talked about, I mean, as you were talking about walls, there's one thing that came to my mind, and I just wanted to put it out there, because I don't have an answer. Perhaps someone may have an answer. Do you think that, I mean, walls are a sign of protection? Okay, I mean, you have walls, I mean, to protect yourself. I mean, that's why we live in buildings. I mean, to keep us protected from the from the conditions outside. I mean, whether it be in the rain or the snow or things of that nature. But before they were buildings, and when people were just roaming outside.
Well, I don't know if I'm speaking over you right now because clearly I've sort of lost you for the moment. But let me add to that and I certainly recommend that everybody goes and looks up EcoTherapy. It's quite a great bunch of information on this, and it goes hand in hand with psychotherapy. Our behaviors, our cognitive way of thinking, how we are humanistic, and how we integrate. So I'm not sure if you're back. Are you back?
Yes. Can you hear me? Yes, I'm back.
Okay, because this time I lost you instead of you losing me.
Oh, okay. Now, can you hear me again?
Yes, I can. So hopefully we'll get through the rest of this.
Okay. Yes. No. What I was saying is that when we're talking about walls and protective protection, back in the days when there were no buildings and no walls and no protection, yet people, I mean, enjoy life and enjoy the outdoors, and they were happy interacting outside. And so the question is, do you think that far too much, and I'm not against protection, okay? Don't misunderstand me. But what I'm saying is that, do you think that this idea of being constantly overprotective with walls, with buildings, and being inside and not letting children go outside and explore and discover and play and use their creativity? Do you think that this obsession that some people have of being overprotective is having an adverse situation, even in the pandemic? Because a lot of people say, just stay indoors. I mean, but now we are seeing that there are states here in the United States that are opening up, and people are beginning to, I mean, have social distancing, but them being outside and not being inside in that protective manner. And we're seeing that that is not affecting. I mean, the virus. As a matter of fact, I mean, the cases are being reduced. I mean, so do you think that overprotection is a negative as opposed to being a positive?
Well, I could take things to extremes here and say that all houses and all buildings need to be banned, and people need to go out to nature. And when I say banned, all houses and all buildings need to be demolished, and people need to be outside all the time. However, where I'm really going with that is that being the historian, we need to go back in time in history. There were no walls in the earliest days. until people started realizing that if they had no walls, they were susceptible to invasion. And then people started to build walls. And walls were crude and makeshift. It could be very simple. But as an example, in the city state of Troy, what kept them secure all those years was the wall that they had built to protect their city. But during the day, the people went out and about to farm and do all sorts of things, and then would come inside the wall in the evening, or in time of an emergency, they would sound an alarm, and everybody would come back in and they would be behind their wall, until finally one day there was the Trojan horse, which is another story to tell. And then if I go to the early days of the American West, the cavalry and the settlers would have to construct forts made of the trees that were in the area for them to be behind. And again, the settlers would go out during the day and they would come in. Sometimes they didn't make it back in time. That's another story entirely too. We're very politically correct here. Today, though, people build walls. And what happens, unfortunately, is every time somebody builds a wall, the people on the other side say, there must be something I want that's on the other side of that wall, because why would they have built a wall in the first place? Now, I don't want to get off the topic of EcoTherapy, but again, we have MEP.
Yeah.
How many walls have we been forced to build by us being confined into the house? You know, it's interesting, as I go around Bermuda, some people have made these masks, which is a wall as well, into a fashion statement.
Oh yes, I've seen them. I mean, now, of course, I mean, you see the typical mask, but now you see masks, I mean, with different designs and colors, and so it's like, I mean, people are getting used, and they think, I don't know, but some people, they think that a mask is just going to be, I mean, the new norm, that everybody for the rest of time, I mean, we are going to be just hanging out and going about with a mask. And how wrong that is, because we are not, I mean, we have not been created, I mean, to wear a mask.
If the creator had wanted us to have a mask, he would have designed something.
That's right. That would have been part of our human body. I mean, not something external. I mean, something that was part of the human body. But that's not the case. And no, you know, I mean, coming back, I mean, to ecotherapy. I mean, if you want to explore a little bit more about the topic, I mean, some of the activities. I mean, it's not just walking, but I mean, if you spend time gardening outside, I mean, that's part of ecotherapy. You can go and do some rock climbing, whitewater rafting, walking, I mean, through nature, horseback riding, all those activities that get you in contact with nature are part of what happens in ecotherapy. So and people, I mean, just being outside, it's a very healthy it's a very healthy prescription if you really want to stay healthy and improve your immune system, to lower your anxiety and worrying and depression, lower your blood pressure. There's been studies that people, I mean, who walked in nature for 90 minutes over an extended period of time, they develop better health than people who did not do that. So there are tremendous benefits, I mean, with being outside in nature. I mean, even, I mean, lowering the fear hormone, I mean, cortisol. I mean, you go in nature, and just because you are in contact, I mean, you're not thinking and worrying about things. I mean, it's like, I mean, you are completely disconnected. I remember what it was. I mean, and you were there a couple of years ago when we went to Costa Rica. Well, Costa Rica is a beautiful place. I mean, that you can just go in nature. I mean, you're surrounded by a forest and the and wilderness, and what a great place to be completely there. You can truly be completely unplugged because there's no.
Well, let me add that you're right about time, and everything I'm reading here about ecotherapy says that 40 to 45 minutes is a key time. But going back to our time, I remember that we had been bussed and on the way back from that event, we thought we were going back to town, but instead we actually ended up at a place that was so beautiful. It was an outdoor building, so to speak, and it was actually a church, but you would never have really realized it. And it was just so beautiful and so magnificent, and to be able to be outside, it was just so fabulous. And I have so many wonderful pictures of that to remind me of that. So I guess we're getting close to a call to action for ecotherapy. And my thoughts on this are: get up and get out. And even if you think you need to wear a mask, wear the mask, but get up, get out, and go and get some vitamin D, especially if the sun is shining. If it's chilly, put on a jacket. If it's not chilly because it's summertime in your hemisphere, getting close to summertime, realize that you may build up a sweat, but it will be a healthy sweat.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yes. I mean, just stay, go outside. Don't be afraid. I mean, don't have that fear. I mean, we are meant to be outside, not inside. I mean, and I think that this is a good reminder that I think that we have spent already far too much time indoors. Now it's time to begin, and like you said, if it's summer where you are, and you have good warm weather, what a great encouragement. I mean, to just spend some time outside. I mean, being in nature. I mean, it's going to definitely make a change in your life, and you are going to be revitalized, re-energized, and you're going to be in a better situation to get back to work, and to really be even more efficient and effective in what you do. So just have that balance of being inside, but also spend time outside is going to make a difference.
I would like to add also, I would like to ask each individual, each and every day, to ask themselves, what is my MEP status today?
Yeah.
How did I function regarding my MEP status? Mental, emotional, and physical status. And if you don't think it was good, fix it.
That's right. You know, always we need to go back to the fundies, or the fundamentals. I mean, and the fundamentals are eating properly, is moving. Okay, don't be sedentary. I mean, just move, and sleep. I mean, have the right numbers of hours of sleep every day, because we need it. We are not machines. So when we take care of those fundamentals, then everything else works fine. But don't ignore those fundamentals. And any final words from you, Bob?
Well, I would really love to stay here longer and chat, but I'm going out to take a walk.
Excellent. That's a good place. And listen, I am so happy to hear that you would be able, if nothing happens in between, and hopefully nothing will happen, but that you pretty soon you'll be able, I mean, to get on a plane and then come to the bigger island and enjoy connectivity here. So
Yes.
So thank you.
I can't wait to see what this video looks like. Oh my gosh.
It's going to be good. I mean, even if it's choppy, it's going to be good. So listen, for all of you, I mean, who watched or will get the replay, it's been great to being with you on another episode of Alejandro and Bob Unplugged. And as I always remind you, to live every moment, to be resilient, and also to be kind, to be passionate, to be intentional, and to be well. Thank you very much. Take care, Bob. Thank you.
Okay,
And until the next time, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.